So we are going to call to order the October 20th, 2025 meeting of the Beacon City School District Board of Education. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Vicki, can you call the roll? Here. Here.
Here.
Here.
Here.
Here. Here. Matt, can you review the fire exits?
Exits are in the back of the LGI.
Okay. Next, we have open to the public. Does anyone have a public comment they would like to make? No? Okay, seeing none. First up, we are conferring tenure tonight. This is on the agenda for our fifth grade teacher, Julie Duffy. And since she's here with her family, we're going to switch things up a bit. So can I get a motion to pull out 13.02 from the agenda for a vote now?
So moved.
Second. Second by Meredith. Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 7-0. Congratulations. Welcome.
So we're going to invite Julie back when we do tenure and retirement recognition at the end of the year. So you can, if you want to come back, you'll hear things from your principal. But I just want to say, watching Julie over the last few years, the just amazing things she does with students every day in her class. She's really technology savvy, does a lot of creative work with her kids. They absolutely love being in her classroom. So this is just a special moment for us to be able to grant her tenure. She's done an amazing job at Forest, so thank you.
Thank you. All right, so moving on to our workshops tonight. We are starting with the update on human resources from our HR director, John Giametta. Is that correct? All right. Tag team by Emery.
Hey, folks, thanks for having us and giving us an opportunity to speak with you. So basically, we took the operations portion of the strategic plan, and Anne-Marie and I kind of worked on that together. So I'll be discussing a few things, and we'll transition to her. So the three goals that we have, as you know, develop a comprehensive hand to recruit and retain high-quality teachers, developing a long-range budget plan that supports and enhances student programs and service, and finally, developing a long-term facilities capital project plan. So I'll be discussing the first goal, and Anne-Marie will be doing the next two. And also, feel free to stop and ask questions, jump in. I invite that. So the first thing is kind of developing a comprehensive plan to recruit and retain. So we've been working with the different departments, more specifically with the operations departments, to provide them with additional supports than they've been receiving. So we're trying to do more communication via email, milestone celebrations, appreciation days, not so much employee of the month, but more employee spotlights. And through Katie Biordi's online navigation system, we're able to kind of blast these things onto Instagram and Facebook. So more recognition is what we're trying to do for our faculty and staff. We're also starting to get creative with how we're doing some recruitment, which I'll talk about now. I'm going to go back. So the school front. So we were able to finally implement the school front. So right now, for our onboarding and offboarding processes, this is all online. And the great capability about this program is if somebody applies for any type of position within the district, we can reach out to them and offer them additional positions that may be in the district. So if somebody wants to be a teaching assistant, for instance, and apply, we can then reach out with a bus driver position, a bus monitor position, custodial positions. It gives you more access to all types of people who are applying to try to get into the school setting, which we think is really neat. And another great thing about this is because we developed this program, we are now fully in line with our onboarding and offboarding. We have an exit interview / survey. We have all of the pieces put together with all the directors being able to offboard people technology-wise, removing their emails, collecting their keys, their badges. It's a nice collective system and format that we've put together. So finally, we are really up to date with things, which was kind of great. And the principals and all the other director heads have been excellent about this transition. We used to go through programs called OLAS. It was the old school sheets of paper being hand signed, sent to the board office, photocopies. Now it's completely online. So it's kind of expediting the process that we have between the principals and department heads for us to hire, which is a really cool thing. Also, with the recruitment and retention, what we're doing is we're meeting with the department heads all collectively together, because come to find out, when you have an issue in athletics, sometimes it has to pertain to cameras and technology and security and then facilities. So we're all getting together in the room at the same time, and it's making it very seamless conversations. We're all getting on board with things that are happening throughout the district, and it's basically just carte blanche access to one another and to be able to figure out problems and get some resolution to the problems a little bit quicker than what I've seen we've done in the past. Also, our plan is to do a transfer vacancy process at the end of the year. So each year when you have resignations and there's open positions within the district, you may have internal transfers that can kind of slow down the process, because if I have a 5th grade teaching position that I know is going to be vacant because of retirement, there could be somebody at another school who wants to transfer to that position, hence making the new position at a new location at a different grade level. So what we're going to try to do is, in the beginning of the spring, we are going to figure out where our vacancies are, who's interested in transferring to those vacancies, are we going to grant those transfers, and then finally be able to post quicker than we have been to try to get better candidates up front. We all know that April, May is kind of the hot time to get people in. So we're trying to move on this and just be more proactive to try to get the best staff that we possibly can to fill our positions. Mike, can you go back a few slides for me? How do I go back, Mike?
Just the arrows.
I'm sorry, I kind of skipped ahead. Oh, perfect, thank you. Cool. So other things that we're doing, we're trying to really keep track of our national days, our National Custodians Days, and our IT Professional Days. You'll see there, blasting those online. We went through some numbers, and if you were interested, it just shows kind of a breakdown of what our staff looks like here in the district, the total amounts of teachers and clerical and rec assistants, so on and so forth. So we don't have to go through everything, but feel free to take a look on your time. And some other things that we're doing, some that we are doing right now, some are implemented and some are going to be in the future, one being the communication flow chart. So this is for the administrators and department heads, basically who are they going to in what type of situation? Is it a disciplinary situation or potential? Is it a parent situation? Is it an emergency situation? Where do they go when they actually need the assistance and who they are going to go to? So we're working collectively to figure out what direction we're going to go with that. The organizational chart, I spoke to Matt about that last week, so getting on top of that. We were able to streamline our workers' comp process. Before, it was a little bit difficult with the C3 form. We've made everything digital, easy to access for people to get, and we've also reinforced and had training during the summer with administration to keep on top of workers' comp issues. Updated employee reasonable accommodation requests. I did not know when taking this position how much I would be involved with this, but we were able to once again get this on the HR portion of the website. It's a one-click form that you click, you fill out, you send up, and it kind of get expedited to the district position a little bit quicker than how we've been doing it in the past. The faculty handbook. That's something that we are really continuing to work on. My goal is for our next kind of hires that we're going to be making for next year to have that kind of ready to rock and roll. I'm enrolled in a human resources workshop through Westchester County, and all of us are kind of working together to figure out who's doing what and how are they doing it. So it's great meeting some colleagues who are in the same trade to figure out what they're doing. And it, oddly enough, I'm like, anybody have a faculty handbook you can show me? And there's, no, not right now. So just figuring out, but it's a goal and we're going to get it done. Mentor program presentation. So Dr. Dwyer, who runs the mentor program, he's inviting the HR team in. We are going to start with some simple things like how to read your paycheck and what does it mean, and all the other processes, especially when it comes to getting CTLE hours. How do you apply for that? When you get grant credits, how do you get paid? When do you need to submit the forms? So just trying to be a little bit more transparent and provide more info for our staff. Progressive discipline template for administrators. So what we were able to do is work with our law firm office, more specifically Melissa, to talk about how we are disciplining and the different types of discipline. And now I'm not saying this because we are looking to do so, but I felt, especially being an administrator before, having a little bit more guidance on what we do in certain situations, who do we involve. and the correct legal process in order to do so. So we were able to come up with a template for all administrators and department heads to kind of follow. Now, not one size fits all, obviously, but it's somewhere for them to start and to just knowing that there has some, guidance to the different situations that they may encounter throughout the school year. CPR first aid, we were able to have Amber Cleveland certified to provide in-house training on this, which is great. So we're trying to expand it, not just to people who require it, such as coaches or phys ed teachers, but other staff members, clerical, bus department, whoever may be interested in receiving the certification. And then finally, probationary staff reports and meetings with principals. So not only are the principals going to meet with you to discuss probationary teachers, but the plan is for me to do check-ins monthly with them to check on the probationary staff, and if we are in need of some assistance or they are in need of assistance, to keep us filled in with how we can just provide the best support possible for our staff members. Transportation, sorry, I'm going fast. Stop me if you need it. Transportation department, we've been doing a lot of work, and Deb and her team have been great to work with. And basically what we're trying to do now is look at what we're doing and figure out how we can do it better, or more efficient, I should say. So the one thing that we were able to implement was our field trip process. So we go on a lot of field trips, and that's not just places outside the district. When we go from Glenham Elementary to the pool here at the high school, it's considered a field trip. So how were we scheduling that? And that was a very long, drawn-out phone call to paper, to this desk, to that desk, to this. We were able to completely have that streamlined onto our ML schedule service. It's a form that's filled out online, given to the principal, then inputted into ML schedules, and then everything can be approved upon. The great part about this, you can have transportation approve it, you can have our nurse's office approve it if there is a nurse in need of the field trip, and then food service, because apparently if you're expecting to feed a fifth grade and they don't show up that day, it's problematic. So keeping Anthony Rollins involved as well. But this has been a great way to kind of cut out the unnecessary conversations and time spent on something, and to have, once again, one-stop shopping, everything, all the information you need on a trip that can finally be approved. We're looking in a couple ways to improve our outside district runs. We have some options available if we are unable to meet the run of a student who resides in the district but goes to another place. So we are in contact with a couple companies to see if this is something we can consider doing. We've been discussing with the union how this would look, but everybody's willing to work with one another as long as we're doing the right thing for kids and we're following everything within the contracts. Communications. So one thing that we really want to do, and feel like this may be a next year thing, is to look into different type of communication programs between the transportation department and parents. So there are programs available that allow parents to actually track the bus, where it is, what time it's going to arrive, so on and so forth. So come to find out, there's a lot of software involved in this. But I feel like it's something extremely important for us to continue to push towards. It would also be a better communication if Route 5 was running late. You can click on Route 5 and send a text to the parents, things like that. So there are these programs available. How we find them and how we adopt them, that's what we want to continue to work on. And Deb has been a great help giving me a hand looking into these things and kind of troubleshooting which way we want to go with that. So that's hopefully in the future. We're looking at athletic drop-offs. We're trying to really make sure that our teams are getting places on time, especially now with, as I know, the daylight saving time coming and us losing out on that, making sure kids are able to get their full contests in. Deb and her team were able to get creative. For instance, if a driver was on a van during the day but was scheduled to take a larger bus, she was having a larger bus dropped off here at the high school, then the driver with the van would come directly here, saving you a half hour at times. So she is working with Mike Carafano to try to make sure we're getting places on time. From what I hear from Mike, things are going better. But once again, we need more drivers to drive more routes, and that's why we're doing different things in order to make that happen. High school and middle school late runs, Dr. Dwyer emailed about looking into some possibilities of that during the summer. That's something that we haven't forgot about, that I want to work with Deb to look at when we are providing runs for students after school. Can we do more? Should we change times? I don't know. So we're going to continue to discuss that for next school year as well. And I don't know why, but the most exciting thing I have are these little job pamphlets that we made up, and I was very excited about these. So, and the credit goes to Meg here because I was telling her, I'm like, man, if we could just have a pamphlet and throw them at local businesses and for people to see. So Meg was able to whip one up, but I'm very excited about that. So hopefully you're starting to see these at some establishments in the local area. I'm willing to do whatever we have to get more drivers involved. So if this is what it takes, this is what we're going to do. But this is like, I'm going to put that up there so you can see it for the rest of the time.
For us.
What's that?
And it brought some for us.
I only have one because it's a prototype, but feel free to take a look.
Only one.
And then the last couple of things, so we're also providing some extra training for our drivers. One is going to be a sensitivity type training on how to deal with students that may be in distress. Sometimes some of our staff members, very important ones, don't receive the up-to-date training that they should, especially when they're going to be the first one to encounter students. So thanks to Dr. Chadwell Dennis and her team, they're willing to step up to provide some of this training to our drivers. And then also our Altalis safety training, Mark Thomas was able to get the drivers and the bus monitors additional training for emergency situations. If there was a weapon on the bus, what do you do? If you came to a stop and somebody was trying to get on, what do you do? So these are some additional trainings that we're hoping to provide our staff to just keep them up to date and aware with things that are going to be going on. And I think that's all for me, but I can come back in a moment if you want to ask questions about that. But now our next
I
couple.
have just two quick questions.
Sure.
You hinted at it, but I just want to, is the Transportation Department our most challenging hiring department
Yes.
still? And we're managing?
We're managing now. We're going to keep making strides and hopefully tap into some new people. You know, Deb was mentioning that in her prior district, there was a really push towards parents. So you want to drive your kid to school? Get on a bus and take the, you know what I mean? But I know whatever we have to do. But, and it's not just Beacon. It seems to be every district, especially talking to colleagues and how their departments are going. So it's a challenge just to have that properly staffed, and you know how it goes. If a route was supposed to go out, but that driver calls out that morning, what are you doing to make it work? And a lot of time, and once again, I think our staff does an amazing job. They're getting up from their desks and they're driving the route when nobody else is there to do it. So, and that happens frequently, and I give them a lot of credit doing so. But I think we all realize it's hard to run a department if you're on a bus and not able to do what you need to do in the office.
Absolutely. And my other question, I'm really excited to hear about being able to post for positions earlier in the year. I feel like that's always been a challenge for us. I'm wondering, you know, diversity in hiring has been a priority for us for a long time too, and I'm just wondering if there's anything in terms of like going to specific job fairs or anything in that area that you...
They made a mention at the HR workshop that I'm enrolled in Westchester about potential job fairs and getting us involved with that. Would any of us be willing to host things like that? So we're a little early in it, but no, those are 100% very important things. A few years ago, we did them. Remember, Dr. Dwyer and I seemed to be doing it online, like we were together, like, but they were online interviews. It was kind of during COVID, but it wasn't the hardest thing to set up. And it was, I mean, you're talking a 5-minute interview. It was just a screening interview to get to know somebody. What are your qualifications? What are your aspirations? You know, so I think that could also be a cool idea for us to do. We are much more likely to get somebody to log on for 5 minutes for a quick screening than to drive down to Putnam, Northern Westchester to go to it.
Yeah.
So, but it is something that we would love to consider.
I had a question too. Thanks for the update. There's a lot of great stuff in here. I'm curious what our retention of high quality teachers and staff looks like. Like, is it higher or lower than where we want it to be or the neighboring districts? And is there somewhere we want it to kind of be? So happy to like follow up if we don't have that data offhand, but I'm curious how we sort of quantify or measure like what retention actually looks like and how much better we want it to get.
No, I think that's a great question. And, you know, what do we want to look at? I think the qualitative, what do we consider as being a high quality person? Is it just observation scores, or is it kids, you know what I mean? So no, that's something I'd be happy to look into, and we can at least start gauging that this year for the future. I'd be more than happy to do that.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments?
Nope.
I could come back if Anne Marie goes along.
That's a good question,
Okay.
right?
So the second goal is develop a long-range budget plan that supports and enhances student programs and services. So our action is to use our internal and external audit processes to create a plan for actions and improvement. So the benefit of that is both our internal and external auditors do to other districts. They bring good practices forward. Our external auditors have a more global approach. They're looking more at the financial statements, but they would make recommendations, especially on revenue and expenditures and fund balance going forward. Our internal auditors really kind of deep dive into it, look at our risk assessment every year, and also pick a focus area. So this is now, when we have audit committee meeting, will be almost the fourth focus area, which has been very helpful because they focused on HR, they focused on payroll. John spoke about School Front. That was one of the big initiatives that came up during the human resources in internal audit, was that we were not very good at offboarding. And so School Front does really address that. So that's been fantastic, and that's been a good follow-up to them on their recommendations.
Is that a program that they recommended specifically, or?
No, they did not, but we did speak to them about it, and there were other districts that used that. And it's amazing, you don't realize how many districts unless you go on their websites and then you get the link to go to School Front. So the processes of audits and action plans and has actually been helpful for us to kind of move the district forward and get some things in formal processes. Another part of the long-range budget plan would be to use software tools to make projections of future budgets. And I think this would be the perfect year to really utilize this program. And I have a slide showing you what they look like. Some of them you have gotten in your treasurer's reports, and I'll explain that as well. But the first being the financial planning analytics. I'm gonna skip too. So this one came in second. This is part of, now it's on Frontline. It used to be Forecast 5, Forecast 5 Plus. It loads our budget. So our budget is loaded currently. It allows us in the projection for 2027 to make assumptions. We can make multiple versions of this. It's helpful when we're in negotiations. We are going to be in negotiations with our large CSEA group and our teachers union. So we can make a lot of different assumptions and see where it goes. We can actually load the expenditures, try to see what it looks like on, a multi-year plan, and then try to see what the revenue would be. We can estimate what our tax levy will be. We can make multiple estimates on our state aid. So I think this tool, we have been using it, not as much as we would like to, but now this would be a really important year to get it going. And we've already started loading current information in, so we can keep sharing that with the board as we go along.
And this is part of the same program John had mentioned, the Front program or In Front?
Front, that would be a little different than his.
Oh,
So
okay.
so it used to be a separate program. Frontline we use for IEPs. We also use for professional development. They bought Forecast 5. So now that's just another suite
Okay.
that we had already used. This is the budget management analysis, and I apologize that it is small. You will see these two graphs in your treasurer's reports that on your board docs. So a couple things. Donnell printed these out and actually tweaked the bottom explanations because they could be a little bit confusing. What comes out of the computer is a very generic reason. This is a moment in time, so don't get scared by the ups and downs of the bar chart. There is most of what happens here, it's timing. It's beneficial as you go forward. So this is just August. You're going to see some things where, for example, we received a pilot check earlier than last year. So the bar charts are going to look a little off. As we go forward, it would be extremely helpful for us to see where we were 2 years ago, where we are now. It makes myself and Donnell actually look to make sure that there's no, irregularities or anything that we're missing or that we're not doing. So for us, this is a really good tool. It was not in your July treasurer's report, but it is definitely in your August. And it will be in your treasurer's reports going forward. There's also a tool, which I didn't share here, but another chart that we would do were compare where we are this year to last year in total, cumulative, where this is month to month. So this is just really an example. I want to kind of highlight it because it's the first 5 pages of your treasurer's reports, then it gets into the nitty gritty of what's in a bank account or whatever. But we're going to really try to get as many reports to you guys every month so that you can look at it. And then this way, if there's, if there's questions, you can send them to us, we would address it. But we're really trying at the bottom to explain things and try to make it a little bit more clear. I think it'll be transparent for the board, it'll be transparent for us to investigate and look at and make sure, and just be really on top of, when our revenue streams are coming in. Everyone's still a little concerned about getting federal revenues, although, nothing's been said that we weren't getting them, but we haven't gotten any cash at all yet because everything's kind of on hold. So that's an important aspect. Heather and I talked about that today. For right now, it's not a cash flow issue because we're getting tax revenue, but eventually it would be. So we have to start thinking about that as well going forward. Third goal is develop a long-term facilities capital project plan that enhances learning and work environments through sustainable measures. So the most important thing, and the thing that's been taking the longest, we've been trying to finalize the implementation of the electric buses and the charging stations. So I'm going to give you an update, and we're getting closer. So the charging stations, which is a picture at the bottom there are 2 charging stations that are inside our bus facility where our buses are parked. We all didn't realize it until that all these wonderful charging stations need data. So now we have contracted with a company to run data because all the logistics and all of the statistics from these need to go somewhere. So we are in line to get, we have POs outstanding. We're waiting for the company to put the data in. Once the data is in, and we're expecting the next couple weeks at best to get this in, the charger needs to be commissioned. All that means is that it's up and running and that the data works and the charger works, and the buses would then be ready to be delivered. All of this has to be done before. They will not deliver a bus that we can't utilize. So my understanding from talking to the bus vendor was that they will deliver. They immediately have to do training with all of our staff. They also will provide training for our local fire and rescue personnel to know how to deal if for some reason, they needed to be involved if there were a fire or something. So everybody needs to be trained, but that is all on the bus vendor. So we still have our grant credit that we have. We have the funding. We did a ban for the buses. So as soon as they're delivered, we will do a lot of social media and we'll have you guys come and look. So, we're really excited. It's taken a long time. All the little pieces needed to be put together, but the buses are ready to get here.
I have a question.
Sure.
When you talk about the data connection for the buses, are you talking about like the routes, how much energy needs to?
It'll be more on the battery side, how many miles it did, what the battery life is,
Okay.
like those kind of things.
All right.
The plan right now is to use those 2 buses on multiple routes to see which would be the best routes to use.
Okay.
So Deb and her staff are trying to come up with a plan on using it. So should we use it for short runs? Does it need to come back in between the morning and afternoon to charge? Can the charge last all day without? Like, those are all the variables.
Okay.
And I think it will depend on which route we choose. So I think that's kind of the learning curve. So you'll see them out and you'll see them in multiple different routes because we are testing and trying to decide what would be the best use for them.
Okay.
I think everyone's excited about it because it's different.
Yeah.
Quick question.
Yes.
Are we switching to electric buses?
We, right now, the governor has a mandate that all school districts have to have electric buses by, now I think it's 2037. They extended it a little bit. So we bought 2. We had the voters approve it 2 years ago. And we needed to do some upgrades for that. So we can have the 2 for now. And then if, as we go on, we would have to make some capital improvements to the bus garage to get more. So for right now, we have, and they're 2 big buses, the large buses.
Okay.
Any other questions?
So just to, this is really exciting, but just to point out what Anne Marie just said, for us to do more than these 2, we'd have to do, go out for a capital project. So it wouldn't be a huge capital project, but, you know, it would be, because for a couple of reasons, right? To build more charging stations, but also like, we don't, I'm not good with the lingo. We don't have enough.
We don't have the capability of the electric, so we
Yeah.
would have to bring in more electric from the street for some, from Central Hudson, which would require some infrastructure changes for us as well.
So this spring, we will need new buses, so we would be putting,
Gas diesel buses.
yeah, just so, like, there's not confusion about that. It's just, you know, this is a great first step. A lot of districts haven't taken this step. But then to do more, it starts becoming a little bit more complicated, just in terms of more work, capital project going out to the voters and things like that. So it's just something for us to be thinking about
Right.
with long-range planning.
I think Beacon is in a great position. As you said, most districts are kind of just waiting in the sidelines and not really doing anything, whereas we'll have these really great 2 buses, and we'll
Yeah.
be able to see what their capabilities are.
Will we
So-
eventually need to expand the garage, storing the buses? Is there a different procedure for storing electric buses?
All of those questions are, so where do you put the chargers? These 2 chargers are on the wall. Can you hang them from the ceiling? Will we have to change this, you know, because it's really just a structure. It's really not a whole, you know, garage, for lack of a better term. So yes, so that would mean we would need architect plans, and we would need to do a capital project. Tetra Tech fortunately does have a division that does a lot of this with electric vehicles and buses, so it's actually good. And develop a timeline for future facilities work. Matt just mentioned what one of them would be the upgrades of the bus garage. We did a building condition survey. As the members of the facilities committee know, not everything that came up on the building condition survey we were able to do, and there are some things in the 2024 that we may not be able to address. So those obviously would be things that would go for the next capital project. And we're starting to look at debt. So as we get further down the line, we'll start to see when debt falls off and where we can actually kind of fit in some bonds that way as well, to talk past 2024 to see. But the smaller bus one would probably come before another bigger capital project. Does anybody have either questions for John or I?
No?
No? Okay,
Wait, I do.
go right ahead.
Can you just explain like the risk assessment report thing? What is
Risk assessment report, school districts have to have 2 auditors. We call one the internal auditor. And what they do is they interview staff in different departments. So a lot of the business office staff, they even interview the superintendent, the technology piece, and they ask a whole bunch of questions. And they determine if we have controls in place to make sure things are running appropriately and efficiently. And then what they do is they write a report, they present it to the audit committee, audit finance committee, and then either myself or with help of other directors will help come up with procedures if they find areas that we can improve on.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes, and it's on the website. Right now, the website, we're doing a little construction, but all the reports are in the business office section of the website.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your question. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we are talking through the safety plan overview, right?
So, forgive my lack of pictures on the slides. But it's just a kind of a springboard for a conversation. I wanted tonight to be just so we have a common understanding of what we're currently doing with school safety and security as we head into further conversations regarding a school resource officer. So these are the things I'll go over tonight: staffing, our emergency response planning. I'm going to be pretty quick on these, but happy to answer questions, and questions I can't answer tonight. I will come back with answers. Mark Thomas, our Director of Security, I felt like we may call him in for later meetings this year, possibly. So I thought I could at least try to handle this one tonight, and then he's happy to come to future board meetings as we go. So we'll go just quickly over all these topics. My first fall here is 2017. We had security monitors in place in all of our buildings, but we created the director of security position in the spring of 2018. That was at the same time that we just started working with our Alteris consulting company, which I'll talk about in a second. But our director of security is Mark Thomas. He really does an amazing job working with all of us regarding safety planning and security. It feels like in a 24/7 kind of environment. So he supervises all the security staff in all the buildings. He works with me and the principals and other administration on emergency response planning, safety planning. He also is a liaison for local law, for us and local law enforcement, and he works really closely with the Alteris consultants. Alteris is a consulting company that works with a lot of districts in the Hudson Valley. We do it through a COSR, through BOCES, so it's pretty cost effective. When they started with us back in 2018, they did a security audit of all 6 of our schools. Now what they do is they really keep us up to date on requirements, training. They help us with our emergency planning, emergency response planning every year. And also we get a lot of great information from them on a regular basis. They're also just a phone call away when we have issues. But Mark does all of this. And like I said, Mark and I and Mark and principals have had conversations, at 3 a.m. regarding an issue, or Saturday afternoon, or, things always come up. Mark's always there by his phone. He has, I think, the loudest ringtone I've ever heard. So he never misses a call. And he's just a really, really great resource. One thing I want to point out is the planning that we do regarding different events, like even somewhat small events at a school. There's always some level of just planning for it with Mark and our school administrators or our athletic director, just in terms of staffing. How do we want to work it? How are we bringing guests into the building? How are we managing things? I just really always appreciate the level of planning he does, the level of planning our principals do too. Been really, really happy with this position. We're one of the few districts that has a position like this. I know, I don't know a lot about it, but I know Poughkeepsie Schools just started having a director of security, I think, in the last year. I'm sure there's a couple other director of securities, maybe in larger districts, or maybe a couple in the Hudson Valley, but I think Mark's done a really, really great job kind of with a position that we created. He's really made the most of it. Our security staff, we have 1 security monitor in each of our elementary schools. We have 4 at Rombout. We have 9 total at the high school. 2 of those work in the evenings. This is just a really short list of what they do, but they closely monitor entrances. They do walkthroughs of our buildings and grounds. They respond to a variety of situations. They provide support for after-school, activities and events as well. Emergency response planning, the district plan is something that's public and we post on the website. The individual building plans are not, for reasons like we don't want people who may want to do harm to a school to see how we would respond, so those are kept confidential. But each building has a robust plan. They also have a team. In each of our buildings, we have a district-wide team as well that review the plans every year and work on disseminating the information. Alteris helps us quite a bit with the planning. Mark helps us quite a bit with the planning as well. The state I feel like the last few years have been adding a lot of requirements, and Alteris really keeps us up to date on that. Another thing that we do that I'm not going to just say Mark's name like 500 times tonight, but maybe 20. When we do have an incident, we sometimes have a short meeting, sometimes it's a little lengthier, but we try to do like a review of it once we're done. And especially if it's one that we've never encountered before, we sit in the conference room at the district office. Sometimes if it's like a sort of a bigger thing that happened, we'll bring in local law enforcement or emergency responders into the meeting too, and we just go through it and review everything about it. So it could be like a bus accident, and we come back a few days later and just review how did we respond to that, how did we deal with everybody. A few years ago when we had the swatting incident, which was pretty disruptive, a few days later we met with local law enforcement and did just a big process review meeting. So that's been something that's been really helpful. Alteris will come. We have someone who's like our Alteris person, and he comes to those meetings if we ask him to, and it's something that I think has really helped us grow. We do, require drills throughout the school year, and then Heather's helped us get threat assessments off the ground in each of our buildings. She did this when she started here, just with like school psychologists and a team at each school. If we have to do that, we have an internal process for that. And I think the next slide, we have a slide about local law enforcement. They play a role in that too. So facilities is a big part of what we do. This is not even capturing everything. But smart bond money we used to put new cameras throughout all of our buildings and our lockdown alert system. That started those years, but it's been kind of going ever since. The Glenham entryway was redone the summer of 2024. All the other schools' entryways are going to be done this summer, which we're super excited about. Some of the entryway designs I think will be rather simple in terms of making them more secure. The high school is going to be probably the biggest redo, where we're moving where the staff is. We're moving them to. I get a little bit lost in this room, but they're going to be coming over to the other side of the entryway so they can see people, come in more clearly. They have obviously cameras that they look at all the time now, but it just makes it a little bit tighter. So that's happening. And every capital project, we're always looking to find ways to improve the facilities in terms of safety. Collaboration with local law enforcement. So I thought this was important to bring up as we embark this year on that conversation about school resource officers. We already work with local law enforcement really closely, especially Beacon Police Department. We also, obviously, Glenham is in the town of Fishkill, so they work more closely with town of Fishkill PD. And then depending on where students live, we may, work with town of Fishkill PD or Beacon, but Beacon's primarily who we work with. They are amazing to work with in terms of lots of different things we collaborate on. They do walkthroughs of our schools. They support with our lockdown drills. Sometimes when we need to do like a safety or wellness type check, that usually the police may get involved if there's discussion of like access to a weapon. Police will go to a student or family's house to check on that. They do that several times a year. It's one of the ways I think that we really try to ensure safety is like if there's any sort of rumor or talk of that, they assist us with that. And then we also pay them to support at not a ton, but at some of our large attendance events, primarily football, not all, well, all football home games, some basketball games, sometimes a soccer game, sometimes other big events. So if we go back to here, the number of salary and benefits for this group of people is almost exactly $1 million, which doesn't happen very often. And then how much we pay for that support, the last part of it. So we don't obviously pay BPD to do the things before that. That's just part of their job. But if they're coming on an overtime basis to work at one of our events, I think the total amount we paid is like $12,000. So it's not a ton of money that we do for that, but they're always, like, if we feel like we need them, they basically are always able to come. In the past, after like an event in the nation, Parkland is one, obviously, but 7 or 8 years ago, Uvalde is another. Oftentimes there's just a sense that having police closer for a few days will help people feel more secure. So we have, if they just are kind of doing drive-bys or walkthroughs, that's part of their job. But if we ask for a police officer to be stationed in one of our buildings for a day or 2 or 3, that means they're not out on patrol. So we are paying for that when that happens. It hasn't been a lot over the years, but they're always willing to do that too. We really, I'm super grateful for the relationship we have with BPD and Town of Fishkill, but they're just always a phone call away and ready to help us with a wide variety of things. And I think do a really good job, and also understand, they understand school is different, and that we make the call on a lot of issues unless it's like an active situation, that there's a threat or something, that they follow our lead on a lot of things, but also provide a ton of support. So we do, just wanted to emphasize, we do really work with local law enforcement quite a bit, sometimes depending on the week or the month, like sometimes on a daily basis. Mental health supports, just, because I think we had a question about this. So our 4 elementary schools, we have 4 social workers and 3 school psychologists. We have a 4 school psychologist that does testing, but the 3 are shared between the 4 schools. There's 1 social worker per school. At Rombout, we have that staffing. We just started the Astor counseling, and we have 6 kids in now. And the flyers going out, so we're going to have even more. And then Beacon High School, they have that staffing there as well. Over the last 8 years, the 1 social worker per elementary school is something that was here when I came, which is, I think, kind of unusual for schools our size, so that's a great resource. We've added a guidance counselor to Roundabout. We've added 2 social workers to Beacon High School over the last 8 years, and the Astor and Bright programs are more recent additions. So when we have a chance in the budget to add to this, we do that. Okay, that's my last one. So just some thoughts about next steps. I just, again, wanted to provide like a baseline summary of what we do, how we currently do, and what that budget is. And then I thought I have the list of questions from a meeting ago, and I was going to just try to bring some answers to those to the November meeting. I think for the next couple of meetings, I'll be the second presentation. I won't try to draw this out, but try to answer some of those questions. I do think it doesn't have to be decided tonight, but I think it would be good to either can come from me or the board, like some sort of communication to families in the community that it's something that we're discussing. I don't want to rely on just an article in the newspaper to warrant or to get feedback on it. So I think that's just something to think about in terms of like kind of saying this is something we're discussing, so more people are aware and they can email the board, or we can develop some sort of system for that. So that's just another recommendation. And then maybe at the next meeting, or I'll leave that up to you all, we just develop kind of a short timeline just about how we want to, proceed with this. The other big question mark, obviously, is like the budget part, and that's going to be a question mark for a lot of things we do, with anything. But that's just part as well. Any questions about the stuff I've gone over? Yeah.
I've got one real quick.
Yeah.
Collaboration with law enforcement. You had a thing that said walkthroughs in the schools, and I was wondering what the purpose of that would be, what would prompt it, and then what the process of that is. What does that look like when law enforcement does a walkthrough?
It looks like, it's kind of what,
obviously they take a
they
walk
walk
through the
through.
school, but
They
what
will-
would prompt it? Is it a schedule? You know what I'm saying?
It's not so much a schedule. I think sometimes when they feel like they have time, they'll reach out to Mark, and then Mark will talk to the principal about whether it makes sense for them to do it on a certain day. It's not all the time. I think it helps for them just to see like what the building looks like during the school day, in case they ever had to come for a different reason, not just sort of a friendly reason. They do train in our buildings over the summer when the schools are empty. Like they do some training, but I think it's good for them to see what it looks like with like a full cafeteria at the high school and what it looks like when the hall changes. What's the busiest hallway change, third to fourth period or whatever, like right out there. Like I think it's good for them to see that from time to time. So it's usually they contact Mark and they just let us know that they have the ability to do it on any given day, and then Mark talks to the principals. And then oftentimes at a game or an event, there may be one or two that we're paying to be there, but then sometimes they'll just be there for a period of time because it's just part of their patrol, and they'll just swing by or something. So that is part of it too.
Do they do the walkthrough annually? Is it something?
No, it's more frequent than that.
Oh, it is, okay.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of casual. Like they
Yeah,
just
yeah.
kind of will stroll around part of the building. They're not like walking every single foot. You know what I mean? Like they'll just, if they have like that time, they'll just kind of swing by. I think it's, like I said, seeing a school when it's filled with students is a good thing for people that we may need somewhere down the line to help us.
I have a question. In terms of everything you just mentioned that our director of security does, are any of those responsibilities things that we would be able to give to the school resource officer?
I don't have a ton of experience with school resource officers. I've managed to be in districts that have not had them over the last 10 or 20 years, but everything I've learned about them, they do some of this. They certainly wouldn't do all of this. And this isn't even a list of everything Mark does, but they would kind of do that liaison work with local law enforcement because they're a part of local law enforcement. They do help with emergency response planning. I don't think they would get into the weeds of the planning like Mark does, just in terms of like making sure we're submitting on time and that it follows the state format and all that kind of stuff. They certainly provide like their thoughts about planning, but they wouldn't be supervising security staff. They wouldn't be supervising any of our employees, but they would be collaborating with principals and things on issues. So it's like the director of security position is, obviously there's districts that have it. It was unique for us. And Mark, is a unique person in that his experience, he's a retired Beacon police officer. He also has experience in private security. He just has a ton of knowledge and experience. And he brings a lot to that role that an SRO might not have all of that. Especially like the planning type stuff.
And in
At
terms,
least like if you were, and I'm not advocating for doing away with this position for sure, but yeah, there's some overlap, but not full overlap.
and in terms of budget, if we did bring an SRO on board, it would necessarily come out of that existing security budget.
I mean, that's my, I'm not, in full budget mode right now, but that was just sort of my initial off the cuff recommendation
Yeah.
at the previous meeting, that it's just something we need to be thinking about. I know a thought that was brought up, I think it was by Chris. I took notes that night, and so I'm not sure who I associated with each thought, but it was like to have this in competition with other budget initiatives would be difficult. And so I think that sort of sprung from my mind that it would make sense to try to do it out of the current security budget we have. So other districts, and I don't want to maybe name a bunch, but like other districts don't have all of this. They typically might have an SRO or two and not have all the security staff and the director of security. They certainly sometimes have like hallway monitors and things like that, But I don't think, hallway monitors are maybe as effective as some of our security staff are. Or they have the training either. So we're kind of unique with the way we approach this. Not, wholly unique. I'm sure there's places that have staff like this too. But yeah, like we do things a little bit differently, I think in a good way. Mark and the staff and the principal spend a lot of time on this on a daily basis, making sure things are covered.
I did also want to mention really quickly that Meredith did actually put together a communication to
Okay.
public, and I edited a little bit, but maybe we should share it with the full board via email and just try and get it.
Yeah, we can do, it's literally just like the workshop calendar and, kind of things that we're talking about, just to make the community aware. But yeah, I can share it.
That way we can get it like formatted and out this week.
Okay.
Yeah, my only concern is that, we only have 2 meetings coming up for January, and then we're really going to get into the numbers. So, it would be great if we could have as much information at the next meeting. I know you were going to provide that. I will say that, yes, regarding security staff in buildings, there are districts that do have an SRO and have security staff as well. Probably not a director of security, but they do have those things as well. So it isn't, I don't know if this was one of the questions, but I think we also should look into our neighbors just to see what they have as well, just because it may surprise us with some of the things that people have with security.
Any other comments or questions? No? Okay. Right, thank you. So we'll keep talking about it. All right, it is time to hear from our student representatives. Nadine, you want to start?
Because we were talking about buses earlier. I know a few people who go to our school who have parents who are bus drivers, and I've asked them why they don't drive for Beacon, and they said that Beacon doesn't pay as well as other school districts. So I don't know. I just thought I'd mention that.
Thank you for mentioning it. Okay, Chloe?
Haven't we taken some steps? What did we do last year? Was it last year?
Last year, we did increase the hourly rate for bus drivers, but I agree. There are private carriers that pay different too, so we struggle with that. But thanks for saying that, because that's true.
First, I want to say I like the bus tracking thing. For my family personally, the parents really want to know like when the bus is coming, like where their kids are, because like for elementary school kids, like they don't have phones, so it's hard for the parents to know where they are and stuff like that. And then I also want to mention how like as you all probably know, it's Spirit Week for all of the schools, and we would really appreciate it if all you guys could come or like show support to our students, because I feel like building connections with the students is very important. And yeah, and the unified game is tomorrow at 2:30. Yes.
Thank you.
I just have a quick question for Mr. Giametta about the CPR certification. So I know that not all of, like, it's not mandatory for all staff to be CPR certified, but would that be like a future plan?
We want to make sure that anybody who's willing to, we can't force somebody to
Yeah.
do it, but we want to make sure it's available to as many adults as possible.
Okay.
That's kind of the plan. And now that we have it in-house, there's Clayman's able to do it. Now it's just going to be, like, we don't have to send people away and pay for it.
Oh,
Just
okay.
have them do it here, which during a conference day, it's easy to get a sign-up group and have a dozen people get certified.
Okay. That's
Question: why is that like not a requirement?
New York State law. Some are and some aren't. So physical education teachers, coaches are required to have it, but other people may not be.
All right, thank you guys. So next, we move on to reviewing the agenda. There's only one change, and that is that we've added a second executive session to the end of the meeting, and the board does not plan to return after that second exec. So now can I get a motion to adjourn to our first executive session to review the employment history of a particular individual? The board will return in about 30 minutes.
So moved.
So move. Second by Meredith. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. is time for the superintendent's report. Matt?
I just have a few things to highlight this week. I just want to give a little bit of attention to a program at the high school that doesn't get a ton of press, but they've been running a Friday Night Lights program for a few years. It's a kind of an alternative for high school kids to do on a Friday evening. It's once a month. They offer lots of different activities. They staff it with some teachers and other staff. And at the last one that they had, I think they set a record for attendance. I think it was around 70 or 80 kids came. And so I think it's just like another, you know, Corey will be kicking off the principal presentations in November. It's just like I think it's like a cool thing they've been doing that just engages kids at just a different level again and gives our high school students something to do. This is homecoming week this week, so there's lots of different activities happening, and it does culminate with the last home football game on Friday night at 6 and also the homecoming dance on Saturday night. So we're really excited about all of this week, and both middle and high school do their pep rallies on Friday. Just a reminder, we have part 2 of the Parenting in the Digital Age Zoom webinar tomorrow at 7. I'll send out a reminder email to parents, but it's people can submit questions and the presenter will answer them, but she has a kind of set presentation. 2 weeks ago, we did the one for elementary parents. It was super informative. And I think this one will be too. And we also will post on our YouTube channel for parents to see. And then lastly, I just want to say we left some nice Bulldog shirts for our board members. It's Board Appreciation Week. And I just want to say on behalf of myself and my team and all the staff here at the school, just thanks to all the long nights you put in. Being a board member, I think I trot this out almost every board appreciation, but I was the son of a board member as well, and not only were there a lot of nights with that, but also a lot of stress. I remember my parents arguing a lot about what my dad was doing on the board or what he was advocating for. So anyway, thanks for doing all of that for no pay. And like I always say, when I get a chance to talk about you all, we have the most student-centered board I've ever worked with, I've ever had the pleasure of working with. So thank you for volunteering to do this. On some level, it's a thankless job, but tonight I'm thanking you wholeheartedly. I know other people have joined in on that. We did some social media posts with you all too. So thank you for everything you do. I hope you're having a good school board appreciation experience. That's all I have.
Thank you. We appreciate you too. Okay, board comments and committee reports. Catherine?
I'm going to get the name wrong, but the Digital Age webinar thing was excellent. Enjoyed it very much. Looking forward to the one tomorrow. Very informative, so highly recommend. I'm also looking forward to reading and sorting out the email that we're going to send to communicate what we're talking about to the community. I think that's so important, and so that's excellent. And I also appreciate all of you. And the last thing I'm going to say is I'm the first person that gets to ask for comments, and I'm the newest person on this board, and it's just alarming. But the thing that I would have said if I had had my wits about me this whole time is also how much I appreciate the students. Of course, they're not here anymore, but it is excellent to have them here too. And so I tip my hat to all of them. They're brilliant. It's so good to always get their feedback, and that's all.
I can switch up the order.
Well, I'm getting there. It's just that, you know, when you're new. Anyway. I'm good.
I was happy to see your name when I...
It's fine. It's getting better.
Just get it over with.
Yeah.
All right, Summer, you're up.
Thanks, John, for that great report. I think it sounds great how much streamlining there's going on for that HR processing. That sounds really helpful. In terms of the audit committee, I think I saw in your notes that we have a meeting on November 3rd, but my notes didn't say that. So I wanted to confirm when, were we looking for the internal auditor?
The internal auditor, it will be remote.
Okay.
So they agreed to November 3rd at 6 o'clock.
Okay,
And they'll Zoom in.
okay.
Does that work for you?
6. And then,
And we're doing facilities after that.
yeah, facilities,
I can make it work.
Yeah.
it doesn't work?
I have to just check. There's an event at work that is at 6 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
But it may be that I can get someone else.
Do we want to, did they have a different day?
We were going to do the 2 dates that you, was the 3rd and the 17th.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the board, it would be before now, if we change the board meeting to the 17th, we could do it before that?
The 10th.
We were going to start to do exec session on the 17th before.
Let me look into it. I'd rather keep the 3rd if I can.
Okay.
Okay.
We're happy to change. We
Yeah.
don't want to mess
Okay.
with,
Yeah, let me just see if I can change that.
because facilities, the thought for facilities, it's a slightly different meeting. I won't get deep into this here, but our amazing capital project consultant, Perry Sheldon, is like officially retiring. And I refuse to like hear it, but he is. So we want to meet with him just to talk about like next steps without him. He wants to, hang it up this winter. So with 3 big summers, coming up with capital work, we just wanted to have that conversation at that meeting with Perry and get some final advice from him. I think he'll always be around for advice no matter what, but we just wanted to start that conversation too. So that I'm just saying that facilities meeting will be a little different. Like everyone else won't be there. It will be Perry. I think it will be a good conversation with. He has some thoughts about transitioning and stuff, but I wanted the board to be involved in that.
Okay.
So for now, we're sticking with November 3rd, but you'll let us know.
Yeah, very
Okay.
soon.
Okay.
So it's audit at 6 and facilities at,
7. I could see facilities just maybe being till 7 to 7:45.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Chris?
No comment tonight, thanks.
Okay, Levon?
No comment.
Eric?
no comment.
All right, zipping through it. Meredith?
Just quickly, we're scheduled to have a policy and a call meeting next Monday on the 27th. Matt, are you?
I just made a policy face. Not about you, Paul. I just have to talk to you about, we'll get the policies.
I know.
So, yeah, obviously.
I've been immersed in some other things.
Maybe
And,
we can chat briefly tomorrow or something.
okay, what day were we thinking of doing it? Monday?
That's, well, it's scheduled for Monday.
Okay.
And I actually am
I am. I
wondering if it would
definitely
be okay
can't
if I
be there on
joined
the
by
27th.
phone because I have to be in the city. I have a really early call time Tuesday, Wednesday. I was gonna stay
Don't worry
until
about it. Don't worry.
Monday night. So, is that okay?
Wait, I'm sorry. She was just letting me know she won't be in Prawl that day.
Oh, you won't be there?
Yeah.
Definitely cannot.
Yeah, okay. Maybe.
Sorry.
Maybe-
What about November 10th? Oh, no, you're away, November 10th.
Yeah, that's the.
I'm away on the 10th. We could
Later that week?
do, the 28th works for me. I'll be back.
Okay.
Um,
Because for Prawl, I think we'd like to have the person who's helping us with the website.
Oh,
And I need to check dates with her.
28th does not work for me.
what about?
What's that?
What about the 29th?
The 29th is good. The 28th does not work.
Okay, who else is on policy and
What time would we be?
6 and 7?
We're
That's
checking
good.
on Tuesday, the
That
28th.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And wait, are you on any of are you on policy?
No, she's on Prawl.
Levon.
Oh, Levon.
and-
Yep.
And Catherine on policy, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
So Wednesday, the 29th.
okay, so, and then
So the
who else?
29th.
and
At what
is that-
time?
What time?
6 and 7, so which it would be policy first, right? That's usually how we do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
But if you're still unavailable, it's okay.
It's sort of TBD.
Okay.
that's fine.
That's fine.
Because
Yeah.
I'll actually be in person.
Could
at
I
the 26th.
Zoom?
Yeah, if you want to.
That might work.
Okay. All right, that's actually less stressful for me. actually.
Okay, so Wednesday, the 29th, policy at 6, Prawl at 7. right? Right.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay, that's all for me.
Okay, that works.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to echo my appreciation for our student board members. I feel like they really came out of the gate like running this year. And I love seeing all these other like districts around the state like, oh, this is so revolutionary. And I'm like, yeah, we've been doing that. Yeah, I just love they truly tell us things that nobody else on this board could tell us, which I really appreciate. I also just wanted to mention really quickly that the Foundation for Beacon Schools is having their annual gala this Thursday, October 23rd. It's over at the Roundhouse. It's a great fundraiser and an opportunity to recognize the work that the teachers and community leaders are doing for Beacon students. There will also be members from the Beacon High School Jazz program there. So I've been before. It's a great time. I can't make it this time, but I hope others can go. And that is it for me. So let's move on to the consent agenda. The use of the consent agenda permits the Board of Education to make more effective use of its time by adopting a single motion to cover those relatively routine matters which are included. Any member of the board who wishes to discuss individually a particular piece of business on the consent agenda may so indicate, and that item will be considered and voted on separately, thus preserving the right of all board members to be heard on any issue. Are there any items that any board members would like to have removed from the consent agenda? All right, hearing none. Can I have a motion to approve 11.01 through 16.09 minus 13.02, which we voted on earlier?
So moved.
Moved by Levon, second.
Second.
Second by Meredith. Comments or questions? Thank you for the donations. All in favor? Aye. Passes 7-0. Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting, and we will not be going into executive session afterward?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Hi, Chris. Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 7-0. Good night.